Well, I'm here with Dominique from Change and Company, and we're going to talk about their organization being an approved provider. And so let's start with give me just a brief overview of your organization and what your role is.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. It's great to be here. So I am the founder and CEO of Change&Co, and we are a specialist agency, essentially a communications agency that helps charities around the world, mostly in Australia, New Zealand, and Hong Kong, communicate effectively with their donors and their prospects. So we provide all types of content, copy, whether it's an appeal letter, web content, impact reports, etc. We can do, print and digital, the whole shebang, and all different types of audiences as well, from regular givers to request prospects, major donors, etc. We also provide quite a bit of training to the sector, and that started many years ago with the occasional little workshop here and there, and we've actually built that into quite a big part of our business, and it's something that I really love doing.
And I'm sure that had an even bigger takeoff when COVID hit and folks were stuck at home and stuck inside and couldn't get out and meet with donors on a regular basis. Did you see an influx of people who were looking for training to kind of fill those hours?
Well, a couple of things happened during COVID. One was that some organizations took their copy in-house or decided that they needed to upskill their internal people more than they perhaps had been. So we did see a lot more people wanting training then. People are also trying a few new things. If they've been reliant very much on events or something, they suddenly wanted to do more emails. So yeah, they've been looking for training around that. And actually, we started the masterclass, which is the first course that we had accredited through you guys during COVID, because I noticed that a lot of people were sort of being thrown in the deep end, and there's lots of training out there that is absolutely fantastic and tells you all this wonderful stuff. There's not so much of that one-on-one ongoing support. So you learn something in a webinar, and then you might try it out in your own copy. But then who do you show it to sort of say, is this right? Did I understand what you were telling me, etc. So it did seem that people needed that kind of support a lot more, especially they weren't going into offices to sort of be able to just show something to someone or ask a quick question. So yeah, that's really when we got serious about training, and we decided to get accredited.
Well, great. So that kind of spills into that next question is, what was that motivation? And you kind of touched on it, but maybe expand a little bit more on that motivation for becoming an approved provider.
Look, essentially, we'd run the masterclass course. I think we'd had one intake, and we're planning the second. And I just sort of went, you know what? I want to make sure that this is sort of benchmarked against some other training out there, and that we have a stamp of approval from someone, uh, you know, um, uh, an organization with its own reputation, so that we can say to people, look, this is not just something I've chucked together. There's got a bit of rigor in it, and you're going to actually get something out of this. So we started the process of looking around to see how we might get the course accredited. And Anna, who I work with, who you've dealt with a lot, Jeff, came back to me and said, I think CFRE is going to be the way to go for all sorts of different reasons.
Well, great. And so have you started to see value then since you have become an approved provider?
Look, one of the reasons why we went with CFRE is that it's international. And because we do work in other countries in Australia, and we want our training to also be relevant to people anywhere in the world, particularly for online training. We've just released a new on-demand course, which means that anyone can pick it up anywhere. We really wanted to make sure that it has sort of an international stamp, that it wasn't just something that was Australia focused or Oceania focused. And it's interesting because sort of since we went through that original process, which I think would have been 2020, 21, I know that you guys have done a lot of more activity in Australia and New Zealand to promote the the qualification for people in fundraising. And I've seen over time that people are becoming more and more aware of what it is. So just for us to have that stamp to say, yep, we've been through, a process. This has been accredited by CFRE. I think, yeah, in terms of reputation, is incredibly helpful for us. I have to say, not a lot of people who've done the masterclass seem to also be doing CFRE, but our contention is that eventually more and more people will take it up. And as I say, just having that stamp there is definitely something which gives the course, just that little bit more gravitas.
Well, true. And I think that, setting for the exam, having gone through your course is a great way to prepare. And to learn some of those key knowledge domains that are on the exam. So that value is going to be seen by your attendees, down the road as they're getting ready. Talk about a little how your organization submits and prepares courses, or as you're thinking through them. Now that you've been doing it for a while, do you have a routine for how you submit, or any kind of tips that you would give to somebody who's thinking about this process?
Um, I think the first time that Anna went through it, there was a lot of toing and froing. She'd come back to me and say, "Oh, they need this or whatever." And what it helped us do was to really put the course into a very structured, sort of program. That meant that also when we were describing it to people or having to go through your process, that it was very clear what was included, what was involved, how it was structured, etc. Yeah, so the first time we went through the process, obviously there was a fair bit of toing and froing because we weren't necessarily sure what you would need at each stage, etc. Subsequently, as we've gone through for the masterclass course, which I think is now coming up for the 6th intake in August, it's been obviously very streamlined because most of the course content has stayed the same. There's been a few little tweaks here and there just to update some of the examples, etc. So as soon as we went through that very first one, it became much, much easier, which was great. And then we started a new course fairly recently, the Fundraising Communications Essentials course, which is on demand, 5 modules. People can just pick that up and run it at their own pace. And again, because we sort of knew what we needed to submit this for the second course, the process was incredibly smooth from my perspective. And Anna just sort of says to me, "Yep, it's done. Here's the points." We were stoked to get 8.5 points for that course as well, and 9 for the masterclass. And yeah, I think it just shows people that as I say, you've been through a process, it's been reviewed, and it's kind of, again, benchmarked against, some kind of international standard, which is incredibly helpful for people when they're trying to choose as well what course to pick, right?
Well, good. Well, any final advice for anyone who is considering becoming an approved provider?
I'd say absolutely go for it. Jeff and the team are incredibly helpful and lovely to work with, and again, it gives you just that confidence, I guess, that what you've put together is fairly rigorous, and that it stacks up against other stuff that's out there. Because I imagine you're seeing all sorts of courses around the world. So yeah, if you're considering it, the process is relatively easy, and once you've done it for the first time, it just gets easier after that.
Well, that's great. Well, Dominique, thanks for spending some time with us, talking about the process and about your organization. And we wish you luck, and looking forward to see what other courses that you develop in the future.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your time, Josh. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.